The developers of Anthem just hosted a big AMA where they were surprisingly open and honest about the future of their game and gave some very interesting tidbits and hints at what's to come. What's going on, everybody? It's GhostRobo, and this was a really cool morning because Ben Irving, Mark Dara, and Chad Robertson took to Twitter and answered just about everything. They really opened up about their plans for Anthem, what they are changing, what they might be implementing, and I love to see the ones that teased at the future beyond launch. So we've got 20 big answers to questions you may have had or may not have even thought of, but will really help paint a roadmap for what they plan to do with Anthem. And I love that they are going to continue to add to this game and modify it in what seems like pretty substantial ways, a lot based on fan feedback and how the launch of the game goes and how the game sessions pan out. So we're going to start here with Ben Irving, who is the lead producer, and go through his answers to some of the very cool questions / comments. Let me know in the comments down below your take on this. Which of these ideas are you most excited to see put into the game beyond launch? I definitely want to hear from you, so get after it. First off, and this is a big one, will there be different ultimates you can equip later on? And Ben Irving says, we think this is a cool idea. Now, I've already praised Anthem for including so many different abilities. I love that you have multiple abilities equipped. I love that you can switch and swap those, especially as the Storm. It feels so great to go from casting a big lightning spell to switching to a fire spell and then bringing in those ice shards or even an ice field. So the idea of switching up the ultimate is really cool, I think, for two reasons. One, it gives you much more variety, and let's take the Storm, for example. Swapping out that triple spell for something different, maybe just a giant spell of a single element, or maybe even different elements, opens up the door for my second reason, which is more normal abilities. Because if you're going to mix up the ultimates, there is a chance that that could include and increase the amount of normal abilities. Now, maybe those are two totally separate avenues for them to explore, but I like the idea that new abilities could help support a new ultimate, and new ultimates could maybe help inspire new abilities. I just like that they are willing to bring more variety to the Javelin, which I think are already pretty diverse and very cool. Next up, will we be seeing a healing support Javelin in the future? And I really like Ben's response here because it helps paint a picture of what their frame of mind was like when they created the 4 Javelin and what it might be like if they decide to create more. He says, we don't want to have enforced roles, tank, DPS, healer, but rather offer the flexibility through builds to be offensive, defensive, or supportive. So they want dynamic Javelin that abilities, equipment, weaponry helps shape what they do and what they are. Now, let's be honest, there are pretty pre-established frameworks for the Javelin that already exists, right? Like the Colossus is obviously very tank-like, and the Storm is obviously the wizard magic user. So it's not like you can completely switch these things around, but I do appreciate that they want to create versatile Javelin. So if they do introduce a new one, it's not like, oh, bummer, I don't want to be a healer, so I'm not even going to really use this. It's more like, hey, you can get in on a basic structure and then mold it to your playstyle and mold it to your team, and so it doesn't have to be, oh, a very set granular setup for, okay, our group of 4. You can mix and match, and if they do add new, there will be flexibility there. Next up, will some bosses have unique drops? And Ben says, not at launch, but we are looking into this. So no word yet on how many strongholds there are. There's been a lot of talk of like, hey, it would be cool if the bosses actually popped loot instead of it being just in the post recap screen. And it looks like they're looking at unique drops for specific bosses as well, which could help incentivize certain runs, although there is a lot of balancing that would go into that and making sure that some aren't super awesome and some aren't super sucky, and then you sort of really de-emphasize or emphasize certain strongholds. But alas, it's cool to know that they are looking into this. Ooh, I like this one. Will there be elemental weapons / bullets? Ben says, not at launch. We want primers and detonators to be gear focused. We may add weapons that do elemental damage and don't cause combos, however. So I guess I just talked myself into saying, yes, there will be in time. So they will be adding elemental weapons and bullets. And that's something I noticed from my extended play session with Anthem. No elemental weapons. Everything was pretty darn vanilla. So the fact that they will be mixing in more awesome weaponry that is elemental based and then allows non-Storm users to kind of cash in on some of the cool effects and abilities that they have created via the elemental system, I think that's awesome. So stay tuned for weapons and bullets that blast ice and burst fire. Will there be weapons that are beyond legendary? I thought this was a pretty bold question because there's already a bunch of categories of loot, but Ben surprisingly answered and said not at launch, which leads me to believe they may be planning a category beyond. So they've got epic, they've got masterwork, they've got legendary. Something beyond that, it's pretty crazy to think that they're already looking at making even crazier, rarer, cooler drops and weapons. Excited. Alrighty, we are now on to Mark Dara's section of the AMA. He is the executive producer, and we start with a big one. I've seen this question asked in many pieces, so I'm going to ask the whole thing. Will there be changeable visor color, thruster color, storm shield / arm color, interceptor dagger color, or any more customization options like that? And Mark says, not at launch, but we definitely want to look at some of these. So extending and enhancing customization will be very cool. The more that they can add diversity to the Javelin, and the more that you can make your Javelin your own, is awesome. The focus right now is a lot on the weapons and abilities you use, and then the colors or the vinyls that you implement. So equipment is there, but it's not as much of a constant switching and swapping a la Destiny. You're not constantly swapping helmets, constantly swapping leg pieces, constantly swapping chest pieces. It's not like that. So adding more diversity to the already established parts of the Javelin, so like the storm shield / arm, the interceptor dagger, I think would be really cool and is something that they need to implement in order to help make Javelin look as unique and special as possible. I want more activities in the open world, more various activities like treasure hunts, races, or things like that. I thought this was a really cool question / comment because that is a big, beautiful world, and movement is so darn fun in Anthem. Doing things like competing against your friends in a race or trying to find a specific spot, treasure, would be very awesome. And I was surprised to see Mark say we will be adding new activities and things to do over time. Races would be cool. So that's not confirmation of a specific race or treasure hunt, but they are looking into it, and you've got the executive producer saying that races would be cool. I do think Javelin racing would be awesome. That movement is so good, and balancing, your thrusters and making sure you dip down to cool off and fly back up and push it to the limit but not blow out. Very, very cool, and just giving more to do with that super sweet mechanic of Iron Man flight is going to be awesome. Obviously, it's great to elevate above the battlefield and fight. It's great to get from point A to point B, but using it for more things, to me, like that's the separator, that's the best part of Anthem, so I'm all for this. Next up, we have, what are the chances of getting romance with Matthias? And Mark answers, and Ben did as well in his own way, no romance right now, but nothing stopping us in the future if people want it. So they have been explicit that there are no romance options in the game right now, something that people really obviously love from Bioware's past work in Mass Effect, Dragon Age, etc. But they're open to adding it, and I just love this response because if people want it, they are wanting and willing to look at developing. And that's a really good system. This is a game that they clearly want to be successful, and they clearly have a lot of passion behind Anthem and what they have already established. But they understand that you need to work with the fans, and you need to really work with the players to make sure that the game is something that has longevity and that has a lot of fun and positive mindshare around it well beyond the first week of launch. So looking to see what the community wants, and they have been so open and engaged. I hope they continue to do that, and I hope they really are able to bring these things that players want to the table and help realize elements of the game that maybe they didn't think were that important or that they didn't have the time for, and now post-launch can start to grind on and get in the game to make this the best experience for everyone. Is there a possibility of new Javelins being added in future DLC? Now, kind of covered this with how they pick the roles for the Javelin, but I just love hearing more confirmation of more Javelin because to me, obviously new areas is super exciting. New creatures, really cool. New missions, great. Extra Stronghold with a new boss and loot, spectacular. But nothing will be as exciting as a brand new Javelin with all new abilities, all new look, and all new fun to play in Anthem. So he says it is possible, nothing to talk about at this time. So a lot of people were asking about new Javelin, and everyone has kind of said, not at this time, but we're looking at it, but we want to do it, but it's possible. So I don't think that's a near update. I think that's something that's way off in the distance because you already have your 4. You want to let people play with those and fully indulge in all of the elements and aspects of each Storm, Interceptor, Ranger, and Colossus. But knowing that we'll probably get new guys in the future, super freaking awesome. Will there be a photo mode? And Mark says not at launch, but it is widely requested. I'm sure some of you have seen the gorgeous GIFs that have been posted on Twitter showcasing and highlighting this incredible Pandora-esque world. The photos are also perfect, and even though I'm not the biggest fan of these kinds of modes, I think it's good that they're going to add it, and it will just help showcase and show off how beautiful this game is and how from above, below, like it looks really cool. And I think photos for Anthem are a great selling point because they help show the size and the scope of this world, and the fact that you are elevated above. It's something, the verticality that most other photo modes outside of something like Spider-Man on top of a building would be able to provide. So photo mode, it's widely requested, probably coming soon. Will we be able to set visible waypoints so you don't have to stop every 10 seconds to make sure you're headed the right way in free play? Now, they have already said that waypoints and pings will not be in at launch, but Mark says, I'm signing Ben up to do this after launch right now. So they are, it sounds like, going to be adding a ping/waypoint system, which is huge, especially if you're playing with friends to know where people are going, what they're targeting, even just to help identify where the heck you're going if you get a little bit lost. Waypoints and pings, please bring them soon. Would we be able to change the colors of the thrusters? Mark says not at launch. We do really want to add this. So a little bit more specificity on the customization of unique elements of the Javelin. This one would carry across all Javelin. Thruster colors would be really cool. Maybe we can even get some unique sparks and different effects that come out of the Javelin, maybe tied into holidays or events or even cataclysms. And I would love to see certain things that help identify, ooh, that's like a top player. They've done something awesome. And thruster color or a thruster type would be a great way to do it. Here's a cool one, another example of them really looking to add variety to this game in as many ways as possible. Will you add melee weapons? And Mark says we have melee weapons. As to swappable ones, not at launch, but the idea that they could bring in different melee attacks, pretty nice. Now, that's not something too crazy, but again, just if you're going to add variety to the ultimates, to the abilities, to the weaponry with elemental weapons and or bullets, and also melee, shaping up real sweet. Will there be a Spectator Cam on launch so we don't have to stare at a big red revive screen? And Mark says probably not for launch, but we are looking into this, and I hope they do, because while I try not to go down very often, when your Javelin does fall, that red revive screen is not so pleasant to look at. So having the ability to swap through your teammates and see what they're up to and maybe help guide them to your position or what they could do to, you know, turn the tide of battle to then be able to come save you, I think that's a good look. Will we have the option to do Strongholds on all difficulties solo? And Mark says no. This is something I mentioned in an earlier video. I did a Stronghold solo, an endgame Stronghold, and there was discussion that that wouldn't be possible in the full game, in the normal launched game. So I'm not sure exactly all of the rules and regs for how Strongholds work or what the parameters are, but it sounds like solo Strongholds are not going to be so much of a thing, at least on certain difficulties. Let's move to our third and final segment. This is Chad Robertson, head of live services, and there's some definite juicy answers in here, so some of the best have been saved for last. Any plans to update the user interface post-expedition screen? Would be nice to see statistics. And Chad says, great idea, we have plans after launch. I would like a little more specificity in those post-expedition screens, giving us like kills and shots and percentages, things of that sort. I think that would be really nice and really cool. Cataclysm seems raid. Limited time, extreme weather, hostile enemies, new challenge, new gears. And Chad says Cataclysms are our aspirational content. Teams, difficult challenges, top rewards. Now, we've heard this before, that Cataclysms are going to sort of function as their big events, and they have this word, aspirational content, that they keep throwing out there. And I don't know exactly why they use that or what that means so much, but hey, here's official confirmation that Cataclysms are that content. How that sort of fits and figures into a raid-like framework, or even if it's going to be comparable or just completely different, or what they mean by teams, difficult challenges, top rewards, if it looks done beyond 4-player Javelin squads, I'm not sure, but Cataclysms are apparently it. So the Cataclysm that is part of Act 1 of their post-launch plans, that's what we're going to be looking for in terms of this aspirational raid-like content. Here's a doozy. Is there a possibility cross-platforming will be added down the line? I'd love to be able to play with my dad who's on PC while I'm on Xbox One. And Chad says, we love the idea of crossplay. Can we play Anthem with your dad too? A nice, quick, silly remark, but they love the idea of crossplay. So not saying it's gonna be in or if it will be in, but they're definitely looking at it, and I hope that they're able to implement. Crossplay just seems to be such a big part of gaming right now. We've seen Xbox Live probably coming to Switch, iOS, Android, and so bringing people together no matter where they're playing, a very cool look, and one that Anthem apparently wants to be a part of. This one, I don't know how to feel about this one. As the story progresses, will the main game have one overarching story that ends and rolls credits, then the world story is expanded over DLC, or will the story come to a stopping point and just keep expanding in the DLCs? And chat replies, the story never ends. It's an evolving world. Now, I get that the story never ends and that they're going to continue to add content, but I really do hope that they have a fulfilling conclusion to the main campaign. Bioware is known for their stories, known for their plots, and while Anthem is going to inevitably have far less of that than something like Mass Effect or Dragon Age, I do hope that they reward the player for completing the campaign with a nice wrapped ending. Maybe it's not fully wrapped, you can definitely have cliffhangers, you can definitely have twists, but I don't want it to be just some nebulous, oh no, the Anthem of Creation. Like, give us something that feels like it has a beginning, a middle, and an end, and that there is satisfaction in completing that. One, just because it's nice to have a story that functions in that way, and two, maybe you're not someone that wants to play 100 hours of Anthem and you just want to complete the campaign and have a good wrapping point. So I hope that while it never ends, I hope that there is at least some substantial conclusion by the end of the missions. Our last one for the day says, is there potential for sponsorship/event vinyls? Not necessarily holiday themed, but something like an energy drink branded vinyl or live event vinyls. And Chad says, stay tuned. So vinyls are those sticker-like skins that you put on your Javelin. You can't change the colors of the vinyls, but you can change the colors of your Javelin to help match or to enhance the look of said vinyl. And they want to do vinyls that are either related to events, related to sponsorship, related to holidays, and I think that's really cool. The more that you can bring in diversity, the better. And they have said that the stores will be rotating a lot, that everything can be purchased in-game currency, so this bodes super well. And in general, I think all of their answers bode super well. The fact that they are exploring and it seems experimenting with so many different ideas and different places to take Anthem, pretty freaking awesome. As I mentioned, my favorite has to be looking into brand new Javelin to eventually add to the fold, but I love some of the smaller ones as well, like thruster colors and elemental weapons, and a big one, a potential new ultimate for each Javelin. How sick and sweet would that be, given how great the effects look, how fantastic the ultimates feel? More of those? Yes, please. Just more Anthem in general. Yes, please. I can't wait to see where they take this game as it goes beyond launch. There's still so much for us to learn and explore, and it's still kind of up in the air. Will they be able to deliver? I don't know. But they're saying all the right things, and it seems like they are so open, friendly, and engaged the community. That is a very good sign, and one that I hope is able to carry this game to great heights. Quite literally. Let me know what you guys think of all of their answers in the comments down below. Which of these things are you hoping most for after launch? Which do you want them to work on first? Is it a brand new Javelin? Is it different customization? Is it perhaps the ability to add pings and waypoints? Changing up that revive screen? Let me know in the comments down below. Hit that like button if you enjoyed the video and are pumped for Anthem. Until next time, everybody, thanks so much for watching. A fantastic day. Drink some hot chocolate, and we will see you all later.